The last night comes. Hopefully this is the last movie. So, seeing how the 5th movie in the franchise is coming out in June, and Walmart's already beginning to stock up with all the, the Walmart exclusive stuff. Hopefully they bring back that slug guy. I really liked him. And never got to get him, no. Anywho, off track. I thought I'd review a figure from last movie. And I'm probably going to take a look at one of the oddest figures released in the main line. This is not an exclusive to anywhere. This was in the main line, introduced, I think it was Wave 5. Wave 4, Wave 5, somewhere around that. This is Transformers Age of Extinction Voyager class Drift, which is a repaint and remold of Dark of the Moon Skyhammer. If you've seen Age of Extinction, Drift is more of a kind of like Fall of Cybertron Vortex, somewhere around that, and I think a remold of that would have worked perfectly since the War for Cybertron guys are already kind of borderline movie figure and detail and design. So I feel like a remold of that would have worked, but they decided to go with this figure for inexplicable reasons. So let's get into it. It's not a bad figure. Vehicle mode, it looks great. It's a massive, beefy helicopter that looks like it would pack a punch. With these massive turbine intakes, and this is one of the remolds from Skyhammer, because his intakes, these little nubs right here, they went inward, like in innie, and these are more of an outie. You know what I'm talking about. It's got these massive thruster pods on the sides. It's got pretty decent wingspan, and rotors. They have wires going to the fins, and these would stabilize them. They would rotate and turn. Tail fin's nice. We got some nice venting detailing. Going on to some more intakes. No tail rotor, though, but not all helicopters have those. Autobot symbol right there. Got a lot of Allspark blue paint, because this is one of Drift's signature colors. Moving along here, along the cockpit sides, got some on the rotor assembly, and then one on the top right here. Got some in the thruster pods, one back here, some here. Got some in the wings. A lot of gold plastic, which it does concern me a bit, but it's been like 3 years, and nothing's really happened to them, so it's 2 or 3 years. Whatever. And he's taking it rather well. For features, he does have spinning rotors. And these things don't tend to lock in. Like, if you hear a snap and they'll be fine, but they'll drop at like a moment's notice. Does have landing gear that fold up, and not too bad. The other side is fairly clean. I mean, yeah, you got some robot bits here and there, but compared to other aircraft, this is surprisingly clean. So for size comparison, here he is now. Well, I was going to compare him to his deluxe counterpart, but that thing recently met its end due to translucent plastic issues. So here is Crosshairs. I forgot his name. This helicopter is just a bit out of scale. Actually, a lot out of scale. And here he is next to another Age of Extinction Voyager, which was small to begin with, Hound. And that is not in scale for a helicopter. I mean, it's bigger than the truck, so it's kind of there. It's got a few points, but I'm getting nothing. So, he does come with some accessories. He comes with... He doesn't come with the mech tech weapons the Sky Hammer came with. But he comes with 2 quad-barreled missile launchers. I'm going to guess these are the heat-seeking variants. They're pretty nicely molded. We got an IR camera right there. We got the warheads in the launching tubes. We got the exit. This is where the thrusters exit. And we got these 2 big old katanas. Pretty massive. I like the nice gold airbrush right here down to the base where it kind of fades into blue. Makes it look like these are actually paint apps, not meant to be part of the sword. They're nice. I'm not sure how I feel about the blue plastic. I think I would have liked more of a gray. But, you know, people are just like, gray plastic's terrible, it looks bad. It wouldn't have looked bad. And Drift probably wouldn't have suffered too much himself for having a bit of gray plastic on him, since they probably came from the molding. So where can I plug these weapons, I hear you ask? Well, you got 2 5mm ports right there you can plug the missiles on, but I don't like how that looks. But you got 4 ports, 2 in the wings. On the underside of the vehicle, you can just plug the missiles right in there, which looks loads better. Makes me wish it came with 4. And the swords, they got a tab right here. Now, due to transformation, something's going to slot into some tabs in the wings. One of the tabs is covered by the thruster pod, or one of the tab slots. This one right here. It's covered by the thruster pod, so you... Where's the sword? Can't really get that there. So you can plug it on the tips of the wings. This is undocumented, but you can. It's a very snug fit. I don't actually mind how this looks, because the swords actually do look like they work pretty well on the wing, because, you know, they're pretty aerodynamic. Would they be useful? No. They don't reach farther than the rotors. You might as well use your rotors to attack them, in which case you're going to take you and them down. I'm not going to try to be racist here, but there's kind of a kamikaze parallel in there somewhere, so... take it with a pinch of salt. So, now that we've gotten past all that, let's get to his robot mode. So, to get Drift transformed, excuse me, first thing we're going to do, we're going to fold up the landing gear. This will just make it a lot easier for us. And we're going to take this section right here. There's a peg and a peg hole. We're going to unpeg that. We're going to do the same thing up here. Going to unpeg that. And then we're going to fold it out. That may split. We're going to fold this up, and this kind of scares me because it flexes the rotor connection a bit. But it hasn't broken yet the multiple times I've transformed it, so I have fair confidence it will stay in place. Then we're going to get the legs. We're going to fold them down at this first hinge right here. Then we're going to unfold them at this secondary hinge right there. And this will give us the thighs. We're going to rotate this section like this. Going to come to the tail fin. We're going to rotate it like that. Then unpeg it. Going to fold out the heel. Just fold out the front of the foot. And when you peg this section in, that peg, we're going to that peg hole. This tab right here. Push this little detail out. Line that up. And boom. I guess it's shin detailing. And we're just going to repeat the same process here. Although with an additional twist, we're going to fold the main tail fin in. I know, man, so dramatic. Just plug that in, extend out the shins. Got yourself a pair of clumpers. Here comes the fun part. I try to get everything in frame, which of course will never happen. We're going to unpeg the wings, or they already came unpegged. Good for you. I'm going to fold them down, and fold this section down on a double hinge. We'll deal with that at a later date. We're going to unpeg the thruster pods. The peg. We'll unpeg from that peg hole. We're going to extend out these underside sections, which will form the arms. We're going to come into the thruster pod itself, fold out the fists, and then take this double hinge and collapse the thruster pod onto the arm section, form the arm itself, feet for the other arm. Then we're going to take the intakes right here, and fold them up, revealing parts of the samurai helmet. And everything is out of focus again, because of course it is. I'm going to take the cockpit itself, split it down the middle, which can be difficult, and fold it out to the side. Fold down these panels. Rotate the cockpit sections down. Rotate the biceps, and you got your double pair of arms and the shoulder section. We're going to rotate this section to the side. Now, at the beginning of the instructions, they actually tell you to take the rotor off. There's a pin in there. You can't do that. Don't listen to the instructions. Okay, I made it. That had to be a joke of some sort. Get some kid to break his toy. Like, break me toy. You know, the parents go take him to get a new one. I'm going to collapse this blue section onto the double hinge, while simultaneously rotating the wings around. And there are two peg holes back there. We'll peg into the rivets back there. I'll rotate that down. Then there are two peg holes and two pegs that you are going to plug the wings into to form his backpack. Just gonna collapse that together. It was a pretty tidy backpack. I like how everything in here just like unpegs from one section, then pegs into another. Even the wings don't solidly peg in vehicle mode. Then we're going to collapse the rotor section, and it doesn't matter which way you do it, because there are 4 tab holes, 2 on this side and 2 on this side, and whatever way you plug it into, it'll plug in. I don't know why I got a Mexican accent. And these were the tabs and tab holes I was telling you about earlier when I was demonstrating the swords. 2 top ones are going to plug in there, and then 2 ones that were previously inaccessible to us. We're going to plug in there, and they do tend to pop out quite easily, depending on how you have things oriented, because, you know, why would anything go the way you want it? This always tends to give me problems every now and then. Let's see if it'll stay pegged in for the rest of the robot moves section. But after that fiddly nightmare, which kind of goes against the full simplification process of the Age of Extinction, you have the lift. Getting in on the head scope. It's Age of Extinction drift, to be sure. You just even get that self-assured, cocky smile you always seem to have. Although it is better painted than Deluxe. It's got 2 Allspark powered, Allspark blue eyes, and they got 2 Allspark sections on the sides of his samurai helmet, and you got his head crest and his golden face. And I'm going to assume that's a chin strap, although it could be a goatee. I'm not going to judge him after facial hair. Especially him, he'd probably kick my butt. So here's Drift in robot mode, and he looks sweet. It's got a lot of detail on him, especially right here in this part of the neighborhood, in the thighs section. And why did they go out of focus when I tapped it to go into focus? A lot of pistons and vents, wires and all that stuff right there. And I kind of like it because, you know, it's a little detail. They never get the little details nowadays. It's always like, oh, put it into the part that they're gonna see. You know, if they can't see it or not gonna pay attention to it, just leave it alone. What I like about the movies, they know molding. They can do it. But here at Drift, not many new paint apps are revealed. It's really only the head, which I like, and the abdomen. Everything else you've pretty much seen, which is good. Speaking of new paint, we had a lot more of that dark blue on his chest, abs, and the crotch. And more of that Allspark power with some gold with a lot of pistons and all that stuff. But I don't have one problem with this. He doesn't look like Drift. And that and kind of bit of a orangutan arm right there, which kind of negates the whole samurai thing. Doesn't look athletic. He's supposed to look athletic. But what can you do? Articulation then. Head on the ball joint. Not a bad range. Gets about Combiner Wars range, actually. Gets pretty decent motion. Shoulder. Got a swivel right here. Hinge right there, although sometimes the transformation hinge tends to move and unpeg the rotor. But you also got a hinge right here, so you can get some pretty decent motion out of those 3 joints. Bicep swivel. A little bit over 90 degrees in the elbow, and wrist can break. Waist swivel. Well, it's kind of nice, a little bit tight, but, you know, can't fault tight joint. Universal hips. If you want to get more motion, just fold the landing gear out of the way, fold it back up when you're done. No thigh swivel. This annoys me. Because I want to get him in a cool pose. I try to move the thigh. Oh, you can't move that because this thing is right there. Little transformation hinge, can't do anything about it. He does at least have just about 90 degrees in the knee. It does bend 90 degrees, it just, you know, when you keep it straight, it kind of bends forward a bit, so you gotta kind of keep it like that. And he does have a swivel below the leg, but it's an angled swivel, like a power combiner lead foot, and I don't tend to use it that much. Oh, and each of the feet sections, the heel and the toes, are on hinges, so do with that what you will. So let's get to arming him. Got some muscle pods. We can't put them on the wings anymore, so we had to put them on the thruster pods. I don't mind. They look cool. Has forearm-mounted missile launchers, and who doesn't like forearm-mounted missile launchers? I love forearm-mounted missile launchers. Any forearm-mounted weaponry kind of gives me the happy feelings. And the swords, you gotta, because of this little curve section right here, you kind of gotta insert it in his hand at an angle. Presumably about right here, this is the sweet spot. Just loop it through the open part of his fist, and slide the 5mm peg part of it in, and you got yourself some dual katanas. They look pretty nice in his hands. I can't fault them. They're some very massive swords, but he's got a cool trick up his sleeve, because you see, there are several tabs and slots along the length of the blade. And if you rotate this section around, now you gotta do it while you already have one sword in his hand, or else you won't be able to get it in. But if you peg these together, you got yourself a broadsword. Big, massive cleaver of a blade. Not a big fan of the handle, but the blade itself, oh man, it just looks massive and powerful. Like, it doesn't fit Drift, yes, but it fits the mold. I feel like Skyhammer would really like this weapon. But Drift, I don't know. It's stretching it. It feels like my Dinobot rep feels more like a Dinobot weapon. Like, I feel this should have come with Age of Extinction Grimlock. This would have suited the Voyager mold perfectly. Just as that mace thing, which looked terrible. But what you gonna do? And of course, forearm mounted weaponry. You cannot go wrong with forearm mounted weaponry. Size comparison. Crosshairs. It doesn't scale well with crosshairs. They're supposed to be the same size. He is next to Hound, who is supposed to be around similar size to Optimus. There are some issues here. I have nothing against Drift being a tall guy, it's just I feel that he should be smaller. That's my whole complaint with this figure. Is it doesn't feel like Drift. It's such an odd repaint. The figure itself is not bad, and if you skipped out on Skyhammer and Dark of the Moon, then you're probably gonna like this. The colors don't sit well with me, but you know, if you like garish colors, and you do you. But the mold is not bad. I like the mold. I just don't feel the character suits it. It doesn't scream Drift. It does not scream powerful samurai warrior. It does scream noble, which is what the samurai in Drift was known for, but it does not scream Drift. It screams Skyhammer. Like, it just doesn't work at all. But what you gonna do? Hasbro will do what Hasbro does, and Hasbro will squirt out whatever they want to get the cash, because we are gullible and we will buy anything they shove out. Life is pain, am I right? So this has been Nightburner53, taking a look at Age of Extinction Voyager class Drift. Hope you liked this video. I will get to working on more Hot Wheels content, and I am hope you enjoy the new movie. And yeah, Nightburner53, signing out.